Yeah,
Hi, Aksa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, and thanks
Yeah.
for taking out the time. It's a pleasure meeting you and,
Uh,
working with you on your applications. So, before we get into everything and, start getting into the conversation, let's have a quick introduction about yourself. If you could share with us your profile, why you considered and what you're applying for. So, let's start with that.
All right. So I'm a nurse, pediatric critical care nurse. I did my bachelor's in nursing again. So ever since I started working, I was very interested in pediatric critical care and I wanted to advance my studies. So the next logical step was to pursue pediatric nurse practitioner acute care track in the US. Uh, I was actually, looking for a lot of multiple consultancies, but I was very hesitant because people here don't really have an idea about the nursing background as such. So I was very hesitant to go ahead. I was very hell-bent sure that I had to do it all on my own. But then, I started talking to you, and it was the initial few interaction is what made me feel very comfortable and confident to go ahead with LilacBud because you were very honest upfront. You didn't have you know an experience with a nursing student. However, you did have experience with people in the healthcare field, so that made me feel confident. And all the follow-up that I had after our initial interaction made me feel comfortable, like let's go ahead with planning. But
Perfect. Yes, we definitely
yeah.
did have a lot of back and forth
Yeah.
because
I know.
you really needed that confidence. Okay, yes, somebody
Yeah.
can help me out. Nursing certainly niche, and yes, you very rightly said we
Yeah.
worked with a lot of healthcare professionals in the past,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
nursing was particularly something as a course. There are obviously a lot of limited options, and there to have
Exactly.
that information available in the market is also tough.
Yeah.
So one
Yes.
thing, Aksa, you made like a really bold choice of pursuing nursing in the career and specifically in the US. So why was
Yeah.
that? What was the reason behind it?
So the nurse practitioner course that I've always wanted to do, even before I started my bachelor's in nursing, that's very limited and very rare in India. Especially the pediatric track is non-existent in India. You can find adult critical care NP roles, but you wouldn't find a pediatric NP course that you can study in India. So, you have to move out of India to study that. And then US again is, very known for their NP tracks and their, especially the specialization. So that was the logical step for me.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
again, coming down to when it came to your chief concerns before you thought of enrolling with a consultant, and there again, limited information, but certainly some information available in the market. So your primary reason for enrolling with us, what gave you that confidence that okay, these would be actually the right people to help me out?
So, like I said, I was talking to agencies, but that would be, a very technical sort of conversation. And it would always be, yeah, we can just start doing it. And we work with people from MBA or other courses. But they would never be upfront with my field specifically because I knew it's going to be difficult because the whole process of, studying nursing in US is completely different from, what we do here in India. So like I said, after talking to you, you made me feel comfortable. You were honest, like even though we don't know the whole nursing process, you had people, you help people, who've gone to study medicine in US. And so that made me feel confident. And the way you were talking and the way you said, we'll help you throughout the process. And every concern that I had, related. I remember I used to ask you about my I-20 even before I started applying for the colleges. So I really did have, because again, people here do not have a general idea about how nursing is. So that is what made me hesitant, but then also confident to go ahead with you.
Perfect. Very
Yeah.
selective program you were looking to apply to. So, how was your process of shortlisting the programs with your mentor? Okay, I have a fair idea, these are the kind of schools I want to apply, but what is actually a fit for me, which suits my profile, fits my requirement? How does that, how is that process working with your mentor?
So honestly, it was very amazing because when we were shortlisting the universities, it was not just based on the name of the college. Priyas sir would actually look up the college and see if there's an affiliated hospital, with the university. Because in nursing, that matters a lot. The kind of, hospital that you go and you get your clinical exposure, that matters more than the name of the college. So he was actively looking into it, and he would, give me a list of colleges, and he would always tell me, okay, these colleges also have a, really good hospital network, so please look into that. So yeah, that was very helpful.
Great. And when you
Yeah.
talk about schools, so what schools did you apply for? What were the decisions? Anything awaited at still now? Where do you stand? Let's start with that now.
Okay, so we applied to University of Washington, Seattle, UCLA, Oregon Health and Science University, but then again we decided not to go ahead with it. Wayne State University and Yale University. So currently, I got admitted into UCLA, University of Washington, Seattle, Wayne State University. I'm still, haven't heard back from Yale yet, but no, all the letters that have come so far, I've been accepted into all of them. So you can see how it worked out. It worked out pretty well.
Perfect. So fingers crossed
Yeah,
now for Yale, hoping that also comes
yeah,
into a positive because they were quite,
yeah.
ambitious names, big names what we were targeting.
Exactly, exactly. Priyasa would, because we could only apply to programs who had on-campus structure. So,
True.
and all the on-campus structures were all, top-tier programs. But Priyasa would always give me the confidence. It's okay. It can happen. It will always happen. I would always be the doubtful one, but then he gave me the confidence in, going ahead with my application process.
Great. So you mentioned you
Yeah.
worked with Prayash one-on-one on your application. So how was the experience working with him? Any, highlight about this whole process with him where you think, okay, this really stood out for me as an experience and it was the right decision working with a mentor?
Okay. So in hindsight, not just in hindsight, while I was still in the process of, applying, I was very relieved because I had a lot of side things that I had to do, prepare for competition exams and getting my certifications done. So having that whole application side, handled by a support system felt very good. So I could focus on my getting my exams done, and I knew I had a support system who was also handling my my deadlines and my SOPs and LOR. He would help me structure my clinical experiences, and help me to reflect on it. I used to always just give examples, and I would have a really difficult time. Okay, what do I do with all the information that I have? He would help me structure in a way that I could present it more clearly and accurately. So that was pretty good. Also, one more thing, I think this was one of the very good things that I can, point out is I even between all my personal commitments, he would always follow up with me on deadlines and tell me, "Hey, Aksa, this is where we are at. The deadline is approaching." He helped me run the whole application process very smoothly.
Great. You mentioned recommendations, and I do recall during the process that was one thing where you had a real tough time getting hold of your
Yeah.
recommenders and getting those.
Yes.
So, what would you advise to any future applicant who thinks of, approaching this? So, how should they actually handle this? Any advice, and how did you tackle the situation?
So this is again, it was a very new area for me, getting hold of recommenders and telling them what to do. I think the one advice I would tell them is get more recommenders than your initial, in the initial ones that you choose. Always have a backup. I didn't have that, and I faced that problem with UPenn, but then yeah, make sure you know your recommenders, and they know you and they can vouch for you. It really matters, your relationship with them. They know your interest. The recommendation letter holds a lot of value. They speak for your interest, and and your push for the for your field.
Yeah, true. Similarly, another document which really holds value is your SOP. And considering that you have like a really, you know, really detailed experiences, rich experiences throughout, and the SOP needs to be like a very clear-cut narrative about your profile. So how was that, writing process, story pooling, working with Prayash? Okay, this should be there, this should be excluded, this makes sense. How was that journey of, building on that story?
So I didn't have any idea on how to, start my SOP. All I knew is my why and why I wanted to do that. But then Priya sir would always give me a structure within which, I could work, which was very helpful. He would always tell me to provide two, three examples and not just mention them, but also, reflect on it as to why, that led to for you to pursue your master's or your doctorate. And one more section that that I used to struggle with is why this university. He would always give me a framework, and he would send me the professors from all these colleges, so that was very helpful, so I could like read their bio and add them in my SOP. So like I said, it was a very comprehensive support system. It was not just okay, like there's an introduction and there's like few examples and you're done with it. It was very comprehensive. We would go back and forth. you know we would write a draft, and then again we would he would give me inputs, and again I would make the changes, and then again we would go over it. So it was just not a one time uh, correction or working on one SOP. It went over a month and two working on one SOP, refining it as best as possible.
True. There was certainly a lot of back and forth of the group also where we could see,
Yeah.
okay, this is
Yes.
happening now, this school, and Priyash continuously reminding you on deadlines, like he said,
Yes.
following up.
Yes.
So the first
Always.
decision, I think, what I recall was the interview from Wayne State. So how did the prep
Yes.
for that go? What was your feeling? Okay, I have something in my hand, somebody likes my profile. How did
Yeah.
your feeling at that time? How was the interview prep handled by Priyash?
So I was obviously very happy I got an interview, and Waynested was one of the programs I was actually, hoping that I would get an answer from. I was happy and nervous at the same time because, I was nervous for the interview, how to answer questions. Uh, that is when me and Priyas sir would do our mock interviews. He would tell me how to approach questions, uh, what kind of story pool to get your examples from, and what matters. He even like helped me with how should your lighting be, how loud you should be and the way you would speak. So yeah, that really helped a lot with my interview. And then following after that, all the other interviews kept coming, and all the other decisions.
Perfect. So Wayne State, obviously the interview went great. You converted that. Then came
Yeah.
Washington, and surprisingly, that was
Yeah.
a direct admit, and there was no interview for that. So that
Interview.
was
Yeah.
another feeling for you when you said, "Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't get an interview. What happened?" So was that something a different experience? And I think UCLA was also on similar lines.
Yeah, similar lines. So yeah, I was very doubtful as to why they didn't, interview me. I think the first question I said on the group was, why wasn't there an interview? And Priyas sir, was like, trust your, skills. You don't really necessarily need an interview, for you to be accepted, which I later on got to know. So like I was following people on Reddit from UWash and UCLA. So before I got my decision from UCLA, I could see that people were getting interviews a week before, and I was like, why haven't I haven't received any information about an interview or anything? But I actually directly got an acceptance letter. So yeah, that was that.
So it was like as strong a profile as it could be that UCLA felt, okay, we really need to
Yeah,
have her. And interviews not needed,
exactly.
we wanted to be a part of a
Needed.
cohort. So, Aksa, obviously,
Yeah,
we do understand we're waiting for Yale, but anywhere where you're
yeah.
leaning towards what you feel, okay, this would be a fit for me right now. What do I see myself going to?
So I definitely feel myself going with University of Washington, even though UCLA and Yale have that big name attached to it. Uh, what matters is, the kind of hospital you work at, and how the program is focused on acute care, because that's the specialty I'm in. And even after I talked with Priyas sir, even he had the same point. The program matters, and my goal is to become a good clinician with skills and being able to handle complex patients.
True.
And University of Washington provides that.
Okay. So definitely that's great. You going ahead with Washington,
Yeah.
another big name, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
One final thing, what advice would you have for any future aspirants who want to pursue a degree abroad, and what should things they should take care of, what should they think of, how should they plan their process, if you have any wisdom for them?
I think one of the, you know, big, big things that you need when you're applying for any graduate or doctoral program is your why. Your why really matters. Why do you want to pursue this program, And what have you done to reach that level? It shouldn't just be your bachelor's or your work X, there should be things that are supporting that particular program. And that matters. And more than all of that, just be authentic. Why, your passion for the course that you're going for matters. And having a support system like LilacBud, that's like cherry on the top, because you can really focus on presenting yourself accurately and clearly.
Perfect. You couldn't have said it in better words. I think that advice really works, because yes, having that clarity, what I want to do and why I want to do it, I think
Yeah.
that makes half the process done. Yes, story building is another thing and having that narrative, but till
Yeah.
the time you don't have that
Yeah.
clarity, you can't be your genuine
Yeah.
self.
Definitely, and that's what Priyasa would always say. Like even the first session that I had with Priyasa was all about why do I want to do the course? Why do you want to go to US? Why not just study in India? Or why pediatric acute care? Why not primary care? So it was all why, because it genuinely does matter, because that's your foundation. Then you build on top with all the other things.
True. So, and it was a solid foundation built, your results speak for it.
Yeah,
So, we were really happy working with you and, helping you become a part of your journey. So, thank you so much, Aksa, for this time and, being a part of, sharing your experience with our viewers for your application process. Thank you so much for this.
I should I should say thank you to you. I know Priya sir, I knew, because you were the first person that I talked with in Lilac. But because if it weren't for you, honestly, I wouldn't have gone ahead. I would have still be hesitant and doubtful. But you made me feel very supported and comfortable. So extremely thank you for that.
No, appreciate this, and
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
was it was actually being a pleasure, pleasure being part of your
yeah,
journey. Thank you so much.
yeah.